Hello everyone and welcome to another replica airguns video. My name's Michael K and today we're looking at the Umarex Smith & Wesson M&P R8. And as you notice, this is a revolver. I don't get a chance to do too many revolver reviews other than my Dan Wessons. So this is a nice addition to the products that I've been reviewing for you. Now I'll quickly get into some of the basic specifications. Obviously this is a non-blowback pistol. It's mainly constructed out of plastic. It uses the 12-gram CO2 cartridges. Now this is not an airsoft gun. I'm going to be very specific about that because I am getting into doing airsoft gun reviews. So I'll be very specific. This is a 4.5mm steel BB gun. So it does not shoot airsoft BBs, the 6mm version in plastic. Now this gun has a 5.1-inch barrel claimed by Umarex, but I'm going to say it has more like a 6.5-inch barrel because if you actually measure it, you can see here, the BB's at the back of the chamber. So you're actually getting about 6.5 inches of barrel if you include the cylinder. And that will give you more feet per second at the end of the day. Now it has an 8-shot rotary magazine. It weighs 1.37 pounds dry. Now it has a smooth bore barrel, so it's not rifled, and most BB guns will not be rifled. It's also single and double action, and it has a claimed feet per second of 420 FPS. Now it is a replica of the real steel Smith & Wesson M&P R8 revolver. And by the way, this gun is also made in Taiwan. Now I have not tested this gun out at all. The weather, frankly, has kind of been bad around here. It's been just raining and cold. I just didn't even want to go outside and test it, to be honest. So when I do my field test review for this gun, I'll definitely be sure to comment more on the performance aspects on how this gun operates for me. Now it does come in this clear bubble wrap sort of plastic packaging you can see here. Nothing fancy. Now I quickly want to compare it to this Dan Wesson, and although the Dan Wesson is above it, it's a little bit, it's not really larger. They both have about the same size barrels or barrel lengths. You can see here very close in length. Now the obvious difference is that the Dan Wesson has these shells that come out. These sort of real shells that you load the BBs. And the BBs go in the front of the shell. So you actually get less barrel length with the Dan Wesson. And you will get less feet per second, I'm assuming, in general. Okay, so let's take a walk around of the Smith & Wesson M&P R8 revolver. As you'll see, it's pretty much all plastic with the exception of a few parts. This extractor rod here is actually metal. And the inside of the barrel is metal. Also inside the actual cylinder, there's a metal sleeve that goes along there. The hammer is metal, and there's definitely some internal metal parts here as well. You can see there's some metal parts inside. But other than that, this gun is all plastic. You'll see that there's some licensing trademarks. Smith & Wesson there on the barrel right here. Also on the frame and on the actual grip here. Now what's nice is that the actual magazine does come out for reloading, and you'll see here it's an 8-shot magazine, so it's very easy to load. Now I don't know if you can see it inside of there, I'm trying to make it so you can see it, but there's like metal sleeves inside of here as well that the BBs travel along. Kind of hard to see, so that's kind of nice. Let's take a quick sort of look around at this side. Grips here. The trigger is plastic. Like I said, mostly everything else is plastic. Alright, so let's take a look at the right side. Again, some licensing on this here, M&P right there. I'm not sure what that means. You've got your serial number and caliber there. You've always got your little warning instructions engraved somewhere on these guns. And there's the Smith & Wesson branding as well on the handle. Take a look at the top. Now here's the rear sight. You can see here it's just a notch sight. Now it is adjustable. See there, you can adjust it for windage. And the front is just a nice white dot. Just kind of nice. Now you can see it's pretty easy to sight this gun in. See if I can get it focused on my hand here. There we go. Oh, it wants to focus on the front one. That's alright. But it's nice to have the V-notch and then the white dot. It's going to be easy to line stuff up. Now you'll notice that there's no sight rail or anything for attachments on the top. Maybe you could mount one on here somehow, but I don't see a way that's obvious. Now the hammer is single and double action. Double action, single action. Now I'm going to say the hammer is a little sticky at first. And the reason for that is because you see this little piece inside there? I'm hoping you can see that. When you first turn it, it pushes that out. And that's what creates the seal, which is going to give you better feet per second and also better CO2 usage. So you're kind of getting past this little sticky part. So it's a little sticky at first. I wouldn't say it's a heavy trigger, but it isn't the smoothest trigger I've ever felt. But it's not bad. Like, I'm not giving it a hard time over that. It's probably beneficial having that there like that. Alright, so let's take a look at the bottom. Now here's where your sight rail is going to be. And you can put different accessories on here. Not your sight rail, whatever you want to call it. Just a rail. Looks like a Picatinny or Weaver style rail. You can put lasers on here. You can put, I guess you could put a foregrip on here if you wanted to. Obviously you could put a tack light. Quite nice. Now to get into this gun, you can see here, you just push on there. As long as you can read, you'll see that. And inside, there's a lot of metal. Now this is what gives the gun a little bit of the added weight. Wouldn't say it's a heavy gun. It's not as heavy as it could be. It's not as light as I thought it would be. So it's pretty good. It's not quite a pound and a half. It would have been nice if it was 2 pounds in a revolver like this. Would have been nice. Now you have your CO2 tab here for tightening your CO2. Obviously your CO2 goes in there. And it's well hidden. I like that it's well hidden. The grips are nice, by the way, too. They're molded as well. Take a look here. Bottom. Alright, I don't know if I can get this in here, but what you can see here is that the opening to the barrel is a little larger than 4.5 millimeter, which does give the impression that it's got a larger caliber round, which gives it a bit more of a realistic barrel size. You know, some of the BB guns and .177 caliber guns, when you can see the actual end of the barrel, it's quite small and you know that it's not the real size caliber. So it is nice that the opening's a little bit larger. Alright, so let's get into some of the pros and the cons. Now, don't forget, I haven't shot this gun, so I can't really tell you the kind of accuracy I got. I can't tell you the feet per second real-world performance I got. I can't even tell you how many shots that I'm going to get out of each CO2. I would imagine this gun will be efficient because there's no blowback. And the way that they've set up the cylinder, the way it rotates into that barrel, it appears to me that the actual fit's going to be nice and tight there, so you get less CO2 loss through that area, which is nice. Now, one nice thing about the Smith & Wesson M&P R8 is that it's fairly inexpensive. It's well under $100, which makes it very affordable compared to the Dan Wesson revolvers. They can get upwards closer to $200 depending on where you're buying it. I like the fact that the cylinder is full size. On some of these BB or pellet revolvers, there's like a fake cylinder behind here, or the magazine that you put in the back half, and so you've got an actual physical break between the two parts. This is more realistic in my opinion. It's nice that it has the adjustable rear sight. At least for windage, it's a good thing. And again, it has a very well hidden CO2 tab, so you're not going to have that telltale sign of the CO2 tab hanging out the bottom, giving away the fact that it's an air gun. I like the Smith & Wesson licensing all over this gun, which is again a nice feature for realism all over this gun. And again, most revolvers are going to be single and double action, except for the old West single action revolvers. So it is nice having single and double action when you're shooting. If you want to shoot more rapid fire, you shoot in double action. If you want to line up your shots, take your time. You're going to get a little bit nicer, more accurate shot using the single action ability that this gun offers you. Again, I like the fact that the magazine is removable, so you can buy extra ones, preload them up. That way you can just carry on shooting with very few breaks in between. And the accessory rail on the front is going to make it really easy for you to add accessories. Hey, even a foregrip would be kind of neat on there. I see a lot of people, when they're shooting pistols for accuracy, take advantage of a foregrip. Why not? So some of the cons, well, obviously this gun has a lot of plastic in it, which makes it a bit lightweight. That said, when I got my hands on it, it did feel pretty decent. A little heavier than I thought it would be. And when I actually put a CO2 cartridge in here, it's going to weight up the gun a little bit more. Now, the lighter feel of the gun does make it feel a little bit cheaper, but I have to say the gun overall feels well made. It doesn't feel cheap, Everything feels solid on the gun. There's no real flex anywhere that I could tell, even though it's made out of plastic. Now again, I mentioned the trigger was a little bit sticky at the beginning of the actual trigger pull, and that's because of the spring seal at the front of the barrel there that tapers into the actual cylinder. And that part's kind of needed to create better CO2 usage and probably higher feet per second results. Now lastly, I don't know if there was a mechanical reason why they didn't decide to make this a pellet shooter. The way this gun is designed, I would think loading a pellet into the same type of magazine would be easy, and having a rifled barrel making this gun an actual pellet shooter, I don't think it would have been more expensive to do it, and I think that a lot more people would be interested in a pellet shooting version of this gun. Alright, that pretty much wraps up this tabletop review of the Smith & Wesson M&P R8 Revolver. Make sure to come by and watch my field test review for this gun that I'll be doing shortly. If you haven't had a chance to come down to the Replica Airguns website, make sure to do that. We've also got our Replica Airgun store. I now have a Canadian and a US version of the store. And you may have noticed I haven't made a video in a while. One of the reasons for that is I was putting together the US store and it took me pretty much all last week to get it all set up. There just aren't enough hours in the day, that's all I can say. Also make sure to check out my Twitter and Facebook channels. Username is Replica Airguns. Thanks again so much for subscribing and watching and supporting all of my channels and my website. Until next time, take care.